Well, I'm very, very ecstatic and excited to have you on today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Well, welcome to the Face Behind the Brand. I am your host, Monique Marie, and you are it's Jay.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So what's going on over there in your neck of the woods? You're 2 hours ahead of me. So what's the weather like today?
It's actually cold in Louisiana. It's quite surprising. It's like 34 degrees out here today.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, it's a little chilly here, but I mean, we're able to go outside with, a meek sweater or something like that. So I wanted to have you on. Of course, I discovered you through Chris. So shout out to Chris. You're freezing up a little bit. Can you hear me okay? Jay? IG is already acting up. You there?
Yeah, I'll come back.
Okay.
Come on. Y'all right. Here we go.
So I was saying, I want to give a shout out to Chris. I discovered your work through Chris, your boy. And he was very kind enough to do a cover for me for one of my singles. And so let's go.
Okay.
Nah, get off the Wi-Fi.
Please.
Get off the Wi-Fi.
Please. That'll be nice. I'm sorry about having a connection issue.
That's okay. Take your time.
All right. I think I'm good.
Okay. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I was saying, the way I discovered you, of course, was through Jay, or through Chris, thank goodness, because, of course, he had done some work for me with one of my covers. So shout out to Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
And, of course, that's how, of course, this connection happened. I ended up following you. You followed me. And the rest is history, because I've discovered so much goodness of you, of your work and your sound and your musicianship. So tell everybody, of course, who will be coming in, and also, of course, who will see this vid, who is It's Jay?
Is Jay started off and still is a gospel musician. That was actually something that was embedded in me in a early age. Can you hear me fine? I'm breaking up again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, I can. It's kind of choppy on my end, but just making sure.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah, but I'm a gospel musician. I've been doing that for about 11 or 12 years. When I'm not being a gospel musician, Jay is, of course, a dad first. I'm a father of 3 biologically, but I say I got 4 because, my girlfriend has her daughter as well, so I'm coming with her. So I'm a father outside of being a musician, of course. And other than that, I'm a laid-back individual. I stay at home majority of the time. If I'm not making music, I'm on a video game or doing something constructive.
Absolutely. Well, you grew up old school, so talk to me about some of the influences and the music you heard in the house that got you into doing what you're doing today.
Ooh, Luther Vandross, Freddie Jackson, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes.
Oh, Stevie Wonder. I heard a lot. Whitney Houston, Patti LaBelle. I mean, I could keep going like on and on, but it was more of an old school R&B blues type emotional feel that was always in the house, especially when my mom was playing music. She was always attempting to sing.
Yes.
I guess we can, so to speak. So everything that she listened to kind of stuck with me and kind of started me where I'm at today.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's amazing because, again, your sound is very different. And I think it's always good because you don't want to sound like somebody else. And so I use the word different because it's unique. You have you're in your own lane. You are an incredible musician first.
Thank you.
And of course, you are a producer, an engineer, and a creator of Black Mozart Loop Kit. So congratulations on the business of the entrepreneurship of being able to put out Loop Kit. So talk to me about Black Mozart Loop Kit.
Actually, when I started in this group that I'm in on Facebook, it's actually a beat making group for the program that I use to make my beats.
Yes.
And I actually got influenced by a couple of those members of that group when they realized I can actually play the keys, and everybody just wanted loops. So I had this one guy who actually made the cover art that you saw for the loop kit. He actually put Black Mozart on it, and it actually just kind of stuck with everybody, So I kind of just embraced the name and went along with it, and that's what it is. I just basically started making loops on the piano. That makes it easier for beat makers and producers who have a hard time basically coming up with melodies. So they can just buy one of my kits. It has like 6 to 8 melodies on it. They can just throw it on a track and do whatever they want to do with it.
Well, I think it's dope, because even for people like myself, as you know, artist to artist, I have kind of dived in, I should say, into producing, and so to hear sound like that, because, when you're a singer, you want to hear sounds. Me being from Oakland, born and raised, I still like 808s, right? Like all day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I still like to sing over hip hop beats. So, but what you're doing is classical, R&B, you have contemporary pop. You have a lot going on.
Right. Right. And that's what I was all brought up on. All that stuff right there.
Absolutely. So you're giving producers and artists, singers, you're giving everybody an option to kind of go either direction, not just kind of stick with, hip hop only, because hip hop is R&B. Hip hop is rock. Hip hop is pop.
Absolutely.
I love it combined with the 808. So talk to me a little bit about, your inner peace, because you are obviously, you tied that in with what you do daily. And you definitely have a sense of spiritual greatness about yourself as a king. So talk to me about where that
comes. Generally, my inner peace comes from what makes me happy.
Yes.
What puts me in the spot that I want to be in a positive manner. I try to avoid negativity by any means. I know it's kind of hard to do, but in order to maintain my inner peace, I put all that into my music. As far as what I'm feeling at the time, or what emotion I'm going to have going on, or even if I just had a bad day at work, just come home and get behind the keyboard or get behind the computer and just put it all in my music versus putting it in a negative spot. And that's where my inner peace comes in at.
Yes. Well, I love it. I think it's great. So for someone, say, example, generation coming behind you that watches you, that, like I said, may be watching tonight or see this video later, talk about some of the essentials that are needed to produce and to be a producer of your caliber.
First and foremost, I feel like you just have to have a knack for music. I mean, if you're doing it for any other reason besides for the love of music, you're already starting off wrong. Because in order to make good music, you actually have to have an ear for it. You actually have to love what you do. And if you don't, you're not going to produce good music. That's just being honest.
Absolutely.
Other than that, of course, I would recommend, I'm not saying that you have to, because I ran into a lot of producers and beat makers that don't have any knowledge of playing the instrument, and they can make great music. But I do recommend that you have some type of knowledge of some type of instrument, because it does make it easier to produce good music. Knowledge of music theory, sometimes it helps. I'm not saying it's a dire necessity, because once again, I know people who don't have music theory at all, and they make better music than me.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I had to suggest, I would say a little bit of music theory. Of course, your ear to the streets. You want to know what people want to hear, and you mix it with whatever your style is. I'm not saying make the music exactly how you hear it on the radio, but take what you hear on the radio and try to find your common ground with this particular, whatever genre you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that. So how many instruments do you play?
Just this one. I tried drums. A little bit. I mean, I can dab a little bit on the drums, but I can't go off like some of the rest of these guys do. So I just stick to what I know.
Yeah. Keyboard, piano.
Yes, man.
So have you always known how to read music, or do you read music?
Ooh. I started off when I actually got my first keyboard. I was around 8 or 9,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents literally just made me start taking piano lessons. And I started off reading music all the way until I got to high school.
Wow.
And I had this music director that was teaching me piano, and he taught me like a couple of gospel chords.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it kind of went to me just listening to songs that I like and just picking it up on the keyboard.
Yeah.
And once I realized I was better at playing by ear than reading music, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of just scooted the music reading situation to the side
Yeah. Yeah.
and started just basically playing a lot by ear. That's how I've been basically getting by all of these years,
That's
honestly.
amazing. That's amazing, because I mean, I don't read music at all.
Right, not a lick. I can tell you a few notes.
Yeah. I couldn't even tell you notes. Like somebody asked me, what
Oh,
you singing? I'd be like, I don't know. You
right.
tell me.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this, with all that's going on today, in the world, and you talked about this a little while ago. You mentioned, of course, you're a father first and foremost. You're a Black man in America.
Right, right,
You're raising Black children, and
right.
in the middle of a viral pandemic and an ongoing race pandemic. So,
Right.
what has that been like for you? Especially you're in Louisiana. So what is that like for you today?
At first for me, I'm honestly it was kind of scary,
Mm-hmm.
because I am in a different city or a different location from my children. My two of my children are actually 4 hours away from me,
Wow.
where I'm currently located.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a 9-year-old and I have a 3-year-old. My 9-year-old is of course in school,
Mm.
and it was kind of nerve-wracking for me because I know both of my kids really don't know. They know what's going on, but you know how children are. They don't really take it too serious.
Yeah.
So in the fear of maybe my children maybe coming into contact with the virus is probably the only thing that's probably been nerve-wracking for me, being away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And even when my son was born, he's 8 months now.
Mm.
So when he was born back in April, in the hospital, it kind of struck a nerve with me as well then, because I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like, going to a hospital with just maximum security and everybody's going crazy about the virus and hoping that my son don't get born into it and something happens or complications like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the only scary situation I had. But other than that, I just pray about it,
Yeah.
and hope it gets better and try to keep my family as safe as possible.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the newest member to the family, the baby boy.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's amazing. So you're doing a lot.
Yes, ma'am. A lot. I try to stay busy.
I commend you completely. So what would you say is the difference then between living and existing?
Oh, living. Basically, when you're living, you're doing it because you know that you don't get another life or another chance at it. I mean, it's not a video game. You can't restart the level when you die. You just when you're going, you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're living basically for the moment. At least I do anyway, because you're not promised tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that all the time in church. You hear that anywhere that you go, you're not promised tomorrow. So you got to live like it's your last day. To me, existing is just going with the motions.
Yeah.
You're just here waiting on basically passing away. You're letting life pass you by. You're not enjoying it. You're stressed out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're not making yourself happy or finding that inner peace that we talked about earlier. So I think that's what the difference is between living and actually existing.
Well, you definitely are creating a sound that is therapeutic for all of us, I should say. And you're definitely, you're not just existing.
Right. I'm trying not to.
Yeah, you're in the land of the living, and you're creating something that I think a lot of us, sometimes people don't realize. Like someone was saying the other day, like, oh, music, we need music, but then we don't. I'm like, no, we need music. We need music.
Definitely.
I couldn't
Yes,
imagine the world without it.
Cold world.
Yeah, it would be a whole world crazy. Look, they would be crazy.
Yeah. Way
So
crazy. Right.
yeah, so I think definitely you are definitely living and doing what you do. So talk about your working style, because of course, like you said, you're in an environment, and I know you're inspired by many things around you. So what is your working style like process to create a beat that you might be writing for an artist, or just making beats to sell? What is that like?
When I go into making a track, I per se don't make it to know that I'm actually doing it for an artist. Because to be honest, I don't have many artists that come my way to get on an actual track because I'm still, of course, up and coming.
Mm-hmm.
But when I make a track, it's basically solely off of whatever I'm feeling at that moment. I could be riding on the way from work, listening to a good R&B station on Pandora, and some chords might hit me, and I'll bring it to the house and I figure it out, and I just sit here, and like 5 to 10 minutes later, I have a track.
Yes.
It's just basically, like I said, whatever emotion that I'm feeling at that moment, I take that and I just go with it. I don't think about it, because if I think about it too much, I'm gonna delete my whole track
Oh no.
and start all over again, which I've done so many times. If I'm not feeling it, like I'm just that ain't
Yeah.
it. Try it again.
Yeah. Crazy.
But it just comes from basically inspiration of what I'm listening to or what I'm feeling at that moment and what vibe I'm in.
Yeah.
Is how I basically start off my music.
Yeah.
And it works pretty well.
Yeah. So you talked about a few influences as far as singers and, musicians in that way. Talk about some of the producers who you're influenced by, both past or present.
To be honest, like going throwback, I always been a fan of Dr. Dre.
Yes.
Even though I don't make that type of music that he does with that vibe that he has, it's
Mm-hmm.
just the fact of his instrumentation and being able to use certain instruments the way that he did. And going back to like where I'm from in Louisiana, DJ Manny Fresh. I mean, to have
So,
different sounds all come together and samples different things that you didn't even know that you can use in the beat and make it sound good. It's
mm-hmm.
kind of what I go for, because that always makes the music unique.
Yeah.
When you use different sounds and stuff, they're like, oh, I didn't know to use that. That sounds weird.
Yeah.
Sometimes people like weird. So you have to go with whatever that you feel at the moment. Like I
Yeah.
said, music is a
Yeah.
feeling. So, but
So
yeah, definitely those two producers for sure.
yeah, and you enjoy just creating melodies, is what I can see. I can sense
Yes,
that.
yes.
So, when is it time? I would ask you this, and of course, I go back and forth with these these thoughts of deep, provoking questions. So
Right.
already, you already know. But when is it time to stop calculating risk and rewards and just do what you know is right when it comes to this life thing, not just with music? When is it time to stop calculating and thinking so much about risk and rewards and just do what you know is right?
I say when you find yourself in a situation that you get up every morning, regardless if you're going to work or going to school, you're a stay-at-home mom, dad, whatever it is that you do, I feel like if you get up for, every morning and have that on your mind, like consistently,
Mm-hmm.
then I feel like you need to reevaluate what you're doing with your life. Because once again, if you wake up with that on your mind every day, you're just existing instead of living. You're not really paying attention to what's going on in life. The only thing that you're worried about is when is your breakthrough coming through? Why you feel like you're not doing anything right, or why you feel like you can't do anything better than what you're doing, instead of actually just living life and waiting on it to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like wasting. It's a waste, I think. I think this year,
Right,
Jay, has just been very eye-opening, I think, for many people.
right,
And no disrespect to anyone, because, so many people have been lost, lives have been lost.
right.
People's businesses have been uprooted, literally, and
Yeah,
changed forever. But there's been a lot of blessings that have come out of this shift. I call it a paradigm shift.
right,
It's something that, I will never stop talking about. I'm not ashamed to talk about biblical things that I know, that I've read, that I believe. And
right,
know it to be is what it is. It's a shift,
right.
and
Yeah.
this conversation we're having, like, none of this probably wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have got on live and I wouldn't have came back to
Right.
social media because I'm
Right.
like, this is not,
Right.
you know, it's like, no, I have things to do. But I
Right.
literally, God was like, this is part of your things to do. You know, this is a
Right.
meeting people like yourself and other artists. And so
Absolutely. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
so thankful, honestly, for 2020. I would not say throw 2020 away at all. You know,
Yes, ma'am.
it's an eye-opening year, you know, and
Yes.
you've done a lot this year, you know, so, and I know that you wouldn't throw it away.
Oh no, no, I still kind of wish it wouldn't have happened, but nah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
throw it away.
Yeah. I think if you
I
could come
wouldn't throw
out
it away.
of a year like this with releasing sounds and coming out with, like you did, creating, you know,
Yes, ma'am.
business underneath a rock when we're supposed to be quarantined and not doing anything, stuck.
Yeah,
That's encouraging.
and that's what a lot of the creativity coming in at is being stuck in the house with nothing else to do but
Yeah.
create music.
Absolutely. So who have you
Yes,
been
ma'am.
listening to recently? What sound, what artists have you been listening to?
Right now in the state that I'm in, they listen to a lot of Rod Wave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for the younger generations, you got the young boys, and like I said, I don't really keep up with too much of the new age, but I know for a fact they like that emotional. They got to tell a story with their music type stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I kind of like because I can incorporate, you know, gospel chords into that type of music and just combine it all together, like you said earlier, and just give it a good, you know, give them a good track to rap on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What would you say is worse when it comes to this life thing? Failing or never trying?
Oh, I would say never trying. I'm definitely gonna say never trying.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that from a person who was afraid to fail.
Mm.
Because I hated to fail. I hated rejection because it always made me feel less of a person. So to prevent me from failing, I just didn't try.
Mm.
But when you get older and you look back at certain things that, you know, you may see your friend did or somebody that you know that was successful with what you wanted to do, you sit down and think like, if I actually would have tried it, I could have been in that same situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you had to wake up with that on your mind.
Yeah.
Like we just got to talking about. You wake up with that on your mind every day and you just end up existing instead of living because you beating yourself up because you didn't try.
Absolutely.
So I always encourage, you know, even my children, you know, I hate hearing I can't. And my daughter does that a lot. And I know that she can do a certain thing, but it's just that she doesn't feel like doing it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually have to encourage somebody to want to get up and do something for them to try. Because if they don't, they're just going to accept failure and it's going to be okay.
Absolutely. I think Michael Jordan said it best. I think he said he lost 100 times before he literally finally,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
championship game. So people don't realize that. Like we see all the wins and, you know, the shoes and
Yeah.
the endorsements, but you know,
Right.
that a person has failed so many times before they got to that.
Well, not realizing he was cut from his high school basketball team before all of that.
Okay, talk about it.
Yeah.
people don't know. It's like they forget about the
They
law.
don't know.
You know,
Right.
You know, I know sometimes you don't want to go back down that road, but I think it's important to talk about the past, at least a little bit, so you can know, you know, humbly speaking,
Exactly.
you know, where you've come from.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you think makes a good song? I know, of course, you need a good sound and a good artist, of course, a good producer, good music, but
Right.
what makes a good song? What makes a hit?
The vibe. Basically, like I said earlier, whatever vibe that you're feeling at the moment, you have to put what you're feeling in the song. Like, once again, it's all about, for me anyway, it's all about emotion.
Yeah.
If you don't put no feeling into the song, and if you're listening to it and you're not asking yourself, now, will people vibe to this or will they not vibe? You have to ask yourself what you like, but then you have to put another person's ear into perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like you're not vibing to it, like I did that like a few times. If I'm sitting here listening to a track over and over again and I'm not vibing to it, like I said, it's scrap. I
Yeah.
got to do it again because if I'm not feeling it, then nobody else is
Yeah.
going to feel it.
Yeah.
And I can't make nobody feel it if I'm not feeling it.
That's
So
right.
it's all about making somebody feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a good song.
Yes. Music literally are what feelings sound like, or what feelings feel like.
Exactly.
I mean,
And
literally.
coming from me,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't sing or rap, so I have to make my music. Like I can't sing, I can't do anything, so I have to make my song. I have to make you feel it without saying anything. So
Yeah.
it's harder for me, but I still give it a good shot.
Well, you doing it, King. I mean, even in that one sound with the piano, the one I posted, I love
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
I don't know if I'm sure it has a name to it. And of course, I want to talk to you about it, but I think it's incredible. I mean, it's classic, right? It's classic, but it's hip hop and it's R&B and it's all these melodic sounds going on, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are definitely doing and letting us know what music feels like from within. Like it took me to so many places and spaces I can't even explain and describe it in words, and it's probably not supposed to, described that.
Right.
So
Yes, ma'am.
again, some real dope stuff you're doing. So tell me this, talk to me about the process of protecting a sound, because of course, as an artist, I know how to protect my lyrics, right? I know how to protect
Right.
and copyright and publish, but for someone again coming behind you and in generation that has no clue of how to protect a beat, performance right, organization wise, publish, talk to us about that.
To be completely honest, I'm just getting my foot into the door with the aspect of that because at first I was just making music for complete fun.
Yeah.
And maybe, putting my tracks on YouTube and on Facebook and social media. And I had an uncle who's actually in Atlanta who actually put me on game of a couple of particular websites, like I think it's a BMI.
Yes.
And ASCAP. Yeah. I think I'm on ASCAP. I think one of those. And basically, it's just organizations that make sure that you get paid your royalties and certain things like that when other people play your songs, like maybe at a club or a TV show or something like that. So I highly recommend anybody that's want to take music seriously to look at one of those two programs. I know it's probably more out there. I've just been hearing a lot about ASCAP and BMI.
Yeah.
It's just basically somewhere for you to go register your music and put all your information. If you collab with somebody, just to make sure that you're, like you said, protected. And even you got to go a step further also with the copyright.
Yeah.
Because that's a completely different situation from those organizations. But once again, with that comes with investment. Like you have to invest in yourself because that's not free.
No.
I think it's like a $50 application for ASCAP.
Yeah.
And that's just for a composer. If you're a composer and a writer, it's $100.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that you have to invest in, but it's definitely going to be worth it at the end.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you said, they're one of the ones that are tracking. I think there's 3 or 4 masters. You got CSEC and BMI and ASCAP, I think are the oldest, the longest.
Right.
But yeah, definitely. It's interesting because you talk about a lot of producers or just artists in general that we just want to sing or we just want to write and put out sounds and don't.
Right.
You got to copyright everything. I mean, these are your babies. So that's how I would describe it to anybody. Like, these are your babies. Even if you don't have a baby, how would you protect your
Right. You got to protect it. Yep. There you go.
So absolutely, I think it's crucial today, and in today's world in general, because there's so many different ways to make money, and not just with what we're talking about platforms and putting things on the radio. There's movies, that would pick up your sound, but if it's not copywritten and if it's not published, then how are you going to earn the money? Because they're not going to give you a check. Like, you want the long money, you want the residual,
right? Right.
Don't take the small check. You want what they're going to get because the movie's going to play forever. And even
there you go.
All that. So that's a whole nother.
Yes, ma'am. Never want to sell yourself short.
Yeah, don't want to do that. So if you could change one thing, talking about the music industry, if you could change one thing, and I know we talked about this, there's many things that can be changed. It's a big industry, it's very interesting. But if you could change one thing about the music industry the way it is today, what would that be?
Just going back off of what we talked about earlier, is I really feel like, and I'm not speaking for every rapper or every producer or singer, I just really wish everybody was in it for the feeling versus the monetary gain. I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I mean, if you can get $2-3 million just for showing up for a concert for 2 hours, great. I mean, I'm not knocking that hustle at all, but that's the only reason why people do it sometimes is for the money. And I really feel like if you're only doing it for the money, then you're not really putting any feeling into it. That's, perfect example with that for me is when I was playing for a church maybe a couple of years ago. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wasn't feeling the church, and it almost turned into me just going to that church just to collect a check. And I wasn't listening to the sermon. I wasn't listening to the service. I was just going there to get paid. And in my mind, I know it was wrong, but that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
So in order for you to actually, once again, have good music, you have to feel it. Just versus what, the world, or like the money, the drugs, the girls, the houses. I just kind of wish all that wasn't a major thing with the mindset of a lot of rappers and artists and stuff like that. Other than that, I wouldn't change anything. I support all the music that's coming out. I mean, if it's hot, it's hot.
Yeah.
Apparently other people like listening to it. So who am I to disturb that wave?
Right. Yeah. And I was just, I think God makes room for our gifts. So I think, if we do what we love, the money will follow. The money will come.
Right.
It's a testament to your own heart and your own self. Are you willing to start at zero?
Right.
And I think, if you could say that because you have the passion to do it, if it's making you happy, like today, it's so crazy because even today I just woke up, it's like, I just feel so good today. Like, had nothing to do with work, getting paid, had nothing to do with Friday because so many people wait till Friday to say, thank God it's Friday. It's like, what about thank God for today? Like,
thank God for every day.
Thank God for every day. Like, who waits till Friday? Thank goodness. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just woke up feeling so good. And I know it's because all these sounds, I hear so much good music right now in my ears. And I just feel thankful,
Yes, ma'am.
Thankful and blessed. So what is your favorite song? Because I'm going to test you to this. What is your favorite song? I know. One song that you get to pick.
You said one?
Okay, you can pick two.
God.
Okay, one of your favorite songs and why?
Okay.
Why you picked this song?
What's the name of that thing? I know it's Leonard Williams. What's the name of that song? The one he be going off on? What is the name of that song? Because I Love You. Okay, Because I Love You by Leonard Williams. And I say that because once again, if you listen to that song, which I know you have a few times, it was raw emotion in that song. Like people told stories back then, and it's like they make a song and you know exactly what they're going through. And even if you haven't been through it, they make you feel like you've gone through it.
Yes.
And between that feeling and his vocal range, to be able to hit them notes that boy was hitting.
And he could say,
that had to be one of my favorite songs, like of all time. And Because I Love You. Now, second close runner would probably have to be Luther Vandross, Here and Now. I mean, his vocal range was ridiculous in his runs, but once again, he was telling a story, and he'll put you in the vibe of what he was talking about. And that's what music is all about to me. Making somebody feel what you're going through.
Yes, yes. I love me some Luther.
Oh yeah, so does my mom.
I think not just because his music, my favorite song is from Luther is Superstar.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah, I like Superstar. Superstar was a hit as well.
And I like Luther a lot because of course we share the same birthday.
Oh yeah? Oh, okay.
Yes, April 20th.
Okay. Okay.
You just had a birthday, by the way, Sagittarius, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Happy belated birthday to you, Jay.
Thank you.
So talk to me about creative control, because you are literally an independent producer and you get to do whatever you want to do. You're not being told how to do it and put it out. And who to contract with and not to contract with. So talk to me about your sense of creative control.
I love having the creative control because, like you said, there's no boundaries to what I can create, and I guess that's becomes it's a blessing and it's a curse. It's a blessing because you can create at your own free will without having to draw a line or having to cut yourself off on what you know you're capable of doing. When working with a particular artist, they might have a certain thing that they want you to do that you have to cater to that artist because, to be honest, they're paying you to make a song for them. So you can't be like, oh no, I don't like that. I want to do it like this, and this is going to present a problem. So with that being said, I mean, working with an artist is good, and I would love to do it honestly because I'm still trying to get my foot in the door with that. But not having an artist to work with per se, like I said, it just releases all type of creativity. And to make good music that you can put out that maybe an artist might hear and want to get on. So I really feel like having that creativity first goes a long way. Even if you had to bend your limitations with an artist, if you just get with that one good artist that vibes with you, they're still going to let you be you regardless.
Absolutely.
So it's still a win-win situation.
Yeah. Because 9 times out of 10, they're independent too. You know what I'm saying? So you both get it, you know? And you definitely like that freedom. You can appreciate the freedom, you know, of being able to control what you do. Talk to me about cultivating a direct relationship, you know, with people that you're meeting, especially on Instagram, you know, on these other platforms, you know, just like, you know, how we connected, via email, Twitter, just social media in general. Talk to me about the whole process and how that's impacted you.
It's impacted me a lot. I actually think I got a homie that's in the live right now who actually encouraged me to start networking. I was always the person who I would make music and I'll post it up. You know, I won't tag nobody. I won't direct anybody to my music. I actually just got encouraged by people. Hey man, just start getting in some Facebook groups, you know, make a YouTube, you know, put your YouTube out to different organizations so people can actually see what you're doing. And I know, like I said, at first when we talked at the first interview that I just recently started tagging people in my music, just, you know, as a network situation, not per se to get them to like it or comment, but just to get them to see what I'm doing. And, you know, eventually if I keep putting music out like yourself, they're going to want to reach out and, you know, and have conversations and possibly do some collabs. The only way that you can actually get somebody to recognize what you're doing is to meet other people.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why, you know, a lot of people in this area alone remain local because they're comfortable with the local people in the environment they're around. They're afraid to go out and venture out to other networks, and that's what kind of holds them back. So I feel like that's why it's important to establish connections with other people outside of your environment. Absolutely.
Well, a big thing comes out of it. Yes, the collaboration, I think, is one big reward because you end up collaborating you never, you know, would have thought of, you never would have met. Just, you know, especially right now, this is the way of life right now this is the new norm for lives, and they're on Instagram, they're on Twitch and Twitter, and it's like, you know, this is where it's at. So absolutely. Describe your life to me in a 6-word sentence.
Wow.
Don't you love how I do that, Jay? I just come all the way from the left.
Oh man. Oh man. It has to be a full sentence or it's just like 6 words.
It's 6 words. Six words.
Oh, okay.
Powerful. Fine. I was doing this to myself this morning, like literally like
I would say adventurous. It would be the 1 word.
Okay.
Of course, I had to go with musical.
Yeah.
I will have to go with living. I had to go with joyful, and I had to go with inspired. How many is that? Is that 5?
I think we're at 5. Joyful.
Well, give me another word. Oh yeah, blessed. Why I didn't lead with
Blessed.
that one?
Amen.
I should have led with blessed. Oh man,
Amen,
yeah, there we
Queen.
go.
Thank
Blessed.
you. Yes. Amen. Absolutely. That's wonderful. I think when I thought about it today, I just came up with like filled. I just said a sentence like filled with learning. And
Mm-hmm.
let me see, learning. Yes, power and wonderful experiences, something like that.
Okay, okay,
I mean,
okay.
because yeah, I don't want to just talk about COVID. Everything is COVID. It's like no,
Yeah, yeah. Oh
there's
my
other
God.
stuff going on,
Right,
happening. So
right.
so let's go pre-COVID though, before all this took place, and say if you were at a venue or able to attend a concert, even if it was last year before, um, what do you look for when you're watching another artist or a DJ or producer and they're performing? What are you listening for? What do you look for?
Basically, again, I'm looking for that emotion. I'm looking for that feeling. Like if I'm watching a singer, and that's all the time with me, even in church. If I'm playing for a particular soloist,
Mm-hmm.
I expect them to feel what they're doing.
Mm.
And it's a lot of times that you can actually tell by body language if someone is feeling what they're doing, and then when
Mm-hmm.
they're not feeling it, whomever is playing for them, the musician or whoever it is,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna notice that,
Yeah.
and it's gonna throw the whole situation off. So if
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm going to a concert, I would want them to actually get into what they're doing, and once they do that, I mean, they're gonna put on a good show. It's not just gonna be for the money. It's just gonna be basically that's what they're feeling. I mean, a singer with their eyes closed and clenching the microphone and just going for it, it basically shows a lot of emotion that you actually feel what you're doing. And that's what
Absolutely.
I'm looking for mainly.
Absolutely. So what do you think? Because even though I know you say you're an aspiring producer, I never tell anybody and agree with them, actually. When they say they're aspiring, I'm like, you were born into this. We're just happy
Right,
to seeing you now. Now it's time to
right,
start being seen. Um,
right.
God, He allows us to be seen at a certain time, I think. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A true.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the risks, though, that you feel and know to be in this industry? Like, what do you think that some of the risks are being a musician and just being in the music industry as an artist and producer behind the scenes?
The only major risk that I see with being in the industry that's going on a lot is a lot of hatred. And that sums up like a lot of things. It's just hatred. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you have situations where you have artists who actually beef with each other because one artist is doing better than the other artist. And
Mm-hmm.
that starts a whole feud for absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I always tell people it's food out there for everybody to eat, so there's no reason for you to be trying to steal off the next man's plate. Like, I mean, maybe they are more outgoing and they're more innovative and they're more about networking and promoting than you. And maybe you, instead of being jealous, you should just sit
Mm-hmm.
back, take a couple of pointers from that person, and y'all succeed together versus wanting to see the next man fail. So that's the only risk I see of getting into the music industry is keeping yourself safe
Yes.
of who is actually genuine and who is not.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably
Mm-hmm.
the biggest risk in being in the music because you can't trust everybody. Sad
No.
to say, you just
Well, you
can't.
trust everybody outside the music industry, so
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
you're talking about for one, keeping your circle small, like I keep
Yeah.
it so small. But yeah, real small. Talk to me about the trust, because that's what you're kind of going into another conversation about how you trust and build trust and keep a certain amount of support system around you that you can trust. How important is that to your business?
I always feel like it's important to keep day ones around you.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, as you, like you said earlier, you get seen by more people, you accumulate more support, more fans, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But you always have to keep your eyes and your ears open to who was actually supporting you before everybody else noticed you.
Mm-hmm.
And in some instances, those people that started off with you are still going to remain with you. Some
So,
instances, like I said, you might have that one particular A1 day one that started with you from preschool, and they see that you getting all famous and they still down here, they start hating. So that's why I said in some instances, the people that you will want to trust the most are people that, you know, encourage you to do what you're doing.
yeah, yeah. So you're talking about people, and I like that. I mean, you know, not particular people, but
Right.
traits and character. So what is the most desirable trait another person can possess? The most
You
desirable
said
trait.
the most desirable trait a person can possess. Having a good attitude and a positive outlook on just life in general. And I say that because this one over here, I'm referring to my girlfriend over here.
Yeah.
I've been in a place. I can honestly admit that I was not always the most positive person when it came down to certain situations. I'm always, if my plan doesn't go out the exact way I planned it, everything is just wrong. Like, and I just go into this dark place. But you have to have people around you to basically make you see the better in every situation. And you have to ask yourself and tell yourself it could have been worse. So once you get yourself to the point where you can actually do that on your own, then you're in a good spot. So having somebody around like that to constantly make you be positive,
Yeah.
it can only rub off eventually. So
Absolutely.
I think that's the best trait that a person can have, is just having a positive outlook on everything.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to give you 3 words, and I want you to tell me what comes to mind when I say these words.
All right. Are we ready? Hey, she's gonna give me some help. She's in the live right now and everything. She's just sitting over there.
Okay, so manifestation,
Okay.
and monetization.
Okay. We're gonna go, you said manifestation?
Motivation.
Okay.
And monetization.
All right. Manifestation is basically like we talked about in the previous interview, and I'm glad you helped me to the definition.
Yeah.
Speaking something to existence, and I really feel like that's one of the most important things to do, not just in music, but into anything.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't believe it's gonna happen, then 9 times out of 10 it's not gonna happen, because you already have that negative outlook. And you're not going to make yourself get up and do it because you already got it in your head that it's not going to happen. So sometimes speaking something into existence, even though if it seems far, far away, or it's not, you know, reasonable to reach at the moment, you still should speak it into existence, and they'll actually motivate you to make that happen.
Yes.
Which goes into motivation. If you're motivated to do something, then you want to just basically going to get up and do it. If you don't have any motivation or anything that makes you, anything that kickstarts you, you're going to be in that same spot or the same rut that you're going to wake up every morning in that same negative mindset, and you're just going to be existing.
Yes.
Monetization. Basically, we know that money makes the world go round, and we know it pays the bills and certain things like that, but I really feel like that shouldn't be, once again, the first and foremost thing on your mind. The money will come.
It will come.
You know, basically you have to just start enjoying your life to the point where, hey, I'm going to enjoy it with or without money. I mean, I know sometimes it is hard to do that, but, you know, happiness is free. People don't want to believe that, but it actually is. You can't buy that. So at the end of the day, you know, once you're happy with the life that you're living and what you're doing, all the monetization and everything that you want will come on later.
Amen, King. Absolutely. You know, because I think sometimes people don't, and we are people. We don't realize that, yeah, if we are speaking things into existence, you know what I'm saying, and staying motivated, then yes, as we mentioned earlier, all these things, everything else will come, you know.
Right.
But you can't, I don't think you can get to anywhere without seeing it first. And I talk about it so much. Like, I think on my very first interviews, I talked about how I perform in my living room and I see myself receiving accolades. You know, I sit there and put something hand, like literally, like, thank you so much, you know, thanks for,
Right.
you know, and it doesn't matter who's watching me. If you think I'm crazy,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I'll be crazy all the way to the bank. You know what I'm saying?
There
Because
you go. Hey.
I saw it first. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, ma'am.
I totally agree with you. So what's next? What's next for Jay? Because you're doing a lot. You got Black Mozart. I know you got music on BeatStars, right? You got beats on BeatStars? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well done. So what's next for you when it comes to this music thing? What do you think 2021 is going to bring?
Oh man. Like I said, right now I'm doing a lot of networking. Just being quarantined has me reaching out to people that I probably would have never got a chance to reach out in person. I got people from Nigeria. I actually did a track with a guy probably a month back. He heard one of my beats on YouTube and he reached out to me on Instagram and was like, yo, I'm from Nigeria. My name is such and such. I want to use one of your tracks. And I was like, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? I was just honored at the thing that somebody away from Nigeria was listening to what I got going on. And then I had a producer from Jamaica to do the same thing. So to me, it's all about getting more collaborations under my belt, getting my music heard more to the point where I have somebody big reaching out to me. I think that we discussed it on the previous interview that we had.
Yeah.
I really want to be, my life ain't complete until Tyler Perry called me and be like, yo, I heard you get down on the keys. I want you to come and be one of my stage plays. Like, my life ain't going to be complete until I do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm definitely ready. You know, as we talked about, I think your sound is very unique. You know, I think
Yes,
it's I meet so many producers, so many artists, and I just, like I said, I feel blessed. I can be biased, and say I have an ear, for a good sound, and I like to connect with people who are dope, and people who know, to know music. So I want you to keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, you just spoke it into existence. You just called in Tyler Perry. So
yes, man.
will be
I hope so.
and smiling. We see that picture, we're like, oh my God, and there it
yes,
is.
Man.
You're talking too. So let's talk about that for a few minutes. You're talking about movies, placements.
Yes, ma'am.
I can definitely, like I said earlier, I can hear your sound in movies and things like that. So I definitely want you to, like how you said you got your boy down there in Atlanta, look more into what placements. And I think I'm doing it too. So, learn more about how to get your sound on Netflix, because Netflix is lacking. And I'm putting a gem out there right now to, I think, anybody.
Yes,
Netflix is lacking music for movies. Talk about it. It's like they're waiting for people, you and me, anybody out there that has a sound that wants to have it on one of those dope movies that you see come on Netflix. And
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're right about that.
Year, they'll give you $250,000 for the whole year to license.
Yeah.
So it's just about submitting it. So we have work to do.
Yes, ma'am. I agree.
So I'm not going to hold you too much longer. I appreciate your family today, sharing you with us, and I appreciate just being in the presence of you today.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it as well.
I definitely want to stay in touch, and I can definitely see, a lot happening for you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So tell us where we can find you other than Instagram.
I'm on Facebook under Jay Hayden, JayHayden. I got a YouTube, ASJ225. I got that as well, and I got a BeatStars. I don't know the link off the top of my head right now. I can drop it later on, but I do have a BeatStars. I got a Facebook and I got a YouTube.
Okay, so we got all that. So everything is ASJ. I see Contraband Beats just came in there. That's another heavy hitting producer. He said, "Let's collaborate on the beat, bro."
I saw that and I didn't want to respond to him while you was talking because I didn't want to be rude. But yeah, I'm down, bro. But anybody, it don't matter.
You spoke it up. You spoke up. Now you got another one. You just spoke up 2 producers because you got Sun Chiefs that just walked in the building. So
all right,
both of those producers I can attest and endorse are heavy hitters, and
Okay.
to definitely, yeah, take that offer up, Contrabands, and thank
Most
you guys
definitely.
again for dropping in and supporting. But yeah, Contraband Beats, Cheeks, people like that. I mean, you are in the middle right now of diamonds, like literally in minutes. You just said something. You see how fast that works? You just said
Yes, ma'am.
about speaking things into existence, and then here come these two amazing people joining the live as we bring it to a close. So God bless you,
Thank you. You too.
and I'll see you soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, peace.
All right. Yes, ma'am.